Welcome to the Running Man.
Well, another day, another Stephen King adaptation that was, shall we say, less than perfect. It would probably be pretty enjoyable if you were either half asleep or on as many drugs as Stephen King was when he wrote the book, but as soon as you're lucid enough to understand that what's being sold to you is a story that takes place over 30 days, that should probably take place over about a week following a protagonist who has more plot armor than a strong female Star Wars character, you realize you probably would have been better served and more excited by going for a run in the bad part of town. Ben Richards lives in a dystopian American future where one corporation has become so powerful that they've basically taken hold of the entire society. While he works dangerous jobs for low wages that he constantly gets fired from for blowing the whistle on the conditions to try and protect his coworkers, the corporation keeps everybody entertained with their comically dangerous game shows where fat dudes answer questions while running on a hamster wheel that gets faster and faster until it throws them off. After losing yet another job and getting blacklisted from other employment opportunities, while his wife works as either a waitress or a stripper, it's a little murky, and with their daughter getting sick and needing medicine from a healthcare system that is unaffordable and incredibly slow, Ben decides the best way for him to make his family the money they need is by auditioning for these game shows. He ends up on the most dangerous and most lucrative show, The Running Man, where contestants try to survive for 30 days with a group of hunters, hunting them for a grand prize of $1 billion. But it's not just the hunters, it's local police, and it's even just ordinary citizens. Yeah, normal Americans can get $3,000 for reporting the contestants and $10,000 if that report leads to a kill. You can even make the kill as a citizen. Now, you may be wondering, how twisted are the people in this society that they'll get a game show contestant killed for $3,000, regardless of how much that is worth in this world? Well, there is an explanation. The viewers are told that these contestants are actually criminals, thieves that are leeching off the rest of society's hard work. Now look, I'm as tough on crime as the next guy, but even if you paid me, I don't think I would be okay sending thieves to their deaths, because I'm not a Roman centurion. But also, after tens of seasons of this show, are people still unaware that these contestants are not criminals? That's like people watching WWE since Hulk Hogan was doing it and still thinking it's real. And, by the way, contrary to popular belief, people who watch wrestling, at least adults for the most part, do not actually believe that it is a legit competitive sport. See, this is why I want some world building. Is this like the Hunger Games, where their viewers are members of some sick elite and it's become a ritual in the society? Obviously not, since pretty much every normal person is also trying to help hunt them down. The contestants have to mail in a tape of themselves every day to, I guess, prove they're still alive? Although I'm not sure why that's necessary with the immense technology the corporation has. You're telling me they don't have cellular capabilities to send these tapes in and give them the footage they need? The real reason is to make the contestants stay in a relatively populated area for the duration of the event, which seems unfair. It sure makes it a lot harder for them. And speaking of which, one more criticism, for now, with just the way this game is structured. 30 days? They straight up say that pretty much nobody survives more than 2 weeks. So, from a storytelling standpoint, why have you set up this 30-day window that there's no way you're going to be able to fill with plot, especially in the format of a movie? Maybe a book, but this is a movie. I think Stephen King needs to be reminded of that. The story has to be adapted, not just copied over point for point. But also, from an in-world perspective, that just seems way too long. By making it so long that most every contestant never even gets halfway through, you're discouraging pretty much all but the most absolutely desperate from applying, robbing the show of some real potential talent. And B, doesn't your audience get bored? In the Hunger Games, the game makers start shrinking the size of the arena to bring about a quicker end. That lasted, I think, 18 days and included 24 tributes, not 3. But anyway, I was given a plot summary. So, Ben Richards starts playing the game, and despite getting a disguise and a new fake ID, the hunters catch up to him on day 2, and he barely gets away with some incredible help from plot armor. I mean, the aim of the bad guys is on par with stormtroopers. If I remember correctly, Ben doesn't get hit by a single bullet in this entire movie in 30 days of people trying to kill him. In fact, I don't think he gets hurt in any way. That's not even something he has to deal with. He gets saved by complete strangers at the last second. He meets a podcaster dude who has studied the game for years and wants to expose the corporation's manipulation. That guy connects him to Michael Cera, who is this weird kind of prepper who hates the corporation because they killed his dad. And you know what? That's enough of the plot summary. Glenn Powell tries to survive a murder game show. Simple as that. Just like The Long Walk, which came out earlier this year, to massive disappointment from me, The Running Man neglects to build its world in any serious way. Now, it's not nearly as egregious because there's stuff going on in this one, not just boys literally walking and talking and not discussing anything of importance. But it's still noticeably absent. No idea how the world got this way. In fact, I'm not even sure how this world is. I get it's bad. Things are always bad in Stephen King creations. That's how it works. He's a nihilist. Do some people benefit from the corporation's control? Ben meets one who seems to. There's all this talk of basically a proletariat uprising, but I don't know. Is this like 1984 and everyone is living in fear of their corporate overlords? And I don't know why I expected to know more. I watched The Long Walk. Honestly, you could probably superimpose my review of that movie onto this one and it'll fit. This movie is probably middle of the road when it comes to Stephen King adaptations, but it was directed by Edgar Wright, and I think Wright is going to want to scrub this one from his record. Part of the problem seems to be the desire, probably from King, to make it a more faithful adaptation, which, as we've already discussed, just isn't feasible for a lot of books because books and movies are simply different mediums. But a lot of it is uncharacteristically bad for Wright. His films are usually pretty clean and concise, not wasting any time, but the pacing of The Running Man? It's not awful, but you look at Hot Fuzz or Baby Driver and it's definitely a league below. The action scenes are okay. There aren't many super creative set pieces, and far too often Ben is saved for no other reason than the incompetence of those hunting him or the plot just bailing him out. There are moments that just make you scratch your head and say, huh? When he meets Michael Cera, his grandma or old aunt or whoever is at the house watching The Running Man and she really wants Ben to die. And Cera tells Ben it's okay because she's deaf and won't know he's there. Then the next scene, she sees him and wants to hit a button that alerts goons to come to the house. Instead, though, Michael Cera hits the button so he can mess up some goons and an entire SWAT team arrives in like 8 seconds. And you say, huh? How did they get there so fast? Then Michael Cera tells Ben it'll be like 4 minutes and 27 seconds before the hunters get there, like to the second. And you say, huh? How does he know that so accurately? As though this has happened multiple times before. Then he starts killing goons with his house by electrocuting them and deploying a bunch of traps. And you say, huh? How did Kevin McAllister get in this movie? Especially because the movie is asking us to take it seriously. Then he and Ben try to escape through an underground tunnel and there's a hunter waiting there for them and you say, huh? How did you get here? Did you see a copy of the script? Oh, right. But honestly, the most disappointing part in terms of it being an Edgar Wright project is the dialogue. Typically, Wright gives his audience credit for being intelligent, but I haven't felt this talked down to in a long time. There are so many instances of Glenn Powell saying he's doing this for his family and you think you're the one who's going to keep me from getting back to my wife and child? If it's not that, then it's just expository dialogue, which is already a step down for Edgar Wright. But it's not even as though they're peeling back layers of information to reveal more and more about the world or how the society works. Most of the exposition is rehashing the same information over and over again, just in different ways to different characters. And in terms of the characters, there's so much wasted here. Some characters, like Lachlan, played by Katie O'Brien, seem really fun. But then we barely get anything from her, and good actors like Amelia Jones have their performances wasted. Glenn Powell is always a fun performance. He's got a lot of charisma, whether it's in Top Gun Maverick or Twisters, but seeing him reduced to just listening to the same information on repeat from different characters and screaming about his wife and kid needing him because his character is primarily just angry man is honestly a little disheartening. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention a very clear bright spot. Coleman Domingo, who apparently is in the new Wicked movie, so that's cool, plays the host of The Running Man. He's kind of a cross between a Steve Harvey or really any good game show host, I just think Harvey's the best, and Caesar Flickerman from The Hunger Games. He's wildly entertaining, and I wouldn't have minded if we had gotten more from him, purely just for the fun of his performance. Okay, that's all I've got for praise. Save your money, save your time. Don't go see The Running Man. Oh, also, don't go see Now You See Me. I'll have a review coming for that one shortly, so subscribe if you want to see it.
All right, the sauce.
What?
The sauce. I don't know. You're using too much sauce. Okay? Review's over.